Well, good morning, everyone.
Morning.
I hope you're well. My name is Brad Pfaff, and I come to you from northern La Crosse County, the rolling hills, coulees, and valleys of God's country. We're very proud of that area. My family's been farming in northern La Crosse County since they came to this country in the 1800s, both on my mom's side and my dad's side. We farm. That's what we do. So, like many of you, I was raised with rural values, and quite frankly, the farm shaped my outlook on life. It's a tremendous opportunity, to be honest with you, to be standing here as the Secretary-Designee of the Wisconsin Department of Agriculture, Trade, and Consumer Protection. This job is a lot bigger than one person. It's going to take a lot of people. So before I get started on my remarks, I want to say the following. I ask for your advice. I ask for your insistence. But I also ask you to hold me accountable, because that's what we do on the farm, and that's what I expect you to do for me. Now let's talk a little bit about where we're at in this state. First of all, this is a tremendous state. This is America's dairyland. This state is agriculture. This state is dairy. I know you've heard these numbers in the past, and so I don't mean to just repeat them, but I like to repeat them, and that is this. Dairy provides $43 billion annual economic impact of an $88 billion annual economic impact that agriculture provides. Let me repeat that. Annually in the state of Wisconsin, agriculture provides an $88 billion annual economic impact. Of that, dairy comprises $43 billion. That is tremendous. Second only to manufacturing. 1 out of every 9 people that work in this state have a job that is related in one way, shape, or form to agriculture. 1 out of every 9 people who are working in this state have a job that is related to agriculture. That is significant. That is tremendous. But as you know and I know, not everyone in this state recognizes that. In fact, people are further and further away from the farm. Less and less people in this state of 5.7 million people recognize what's happening on the farm. They don't know what's going on out there. So what do we do? That's the perception. That's what we have. It's a story that we got to be able to tell. But as I also like to say, the farm is more than just bushels, bales, and hundredweights. The farm is something bigger than that. The farm, quite frankly, is who we are. It's our identity. And I would argue it's our identity as a state. It is something that we shouldn't run from. It's something we should embrace. And as Secretary-Designee of the Wisconsin Department of Agriculture, Trade, and Consumer Protection, I not only embrace it, I fully want to be able to embody it, tell that story. Because the story of Wisconsin is the story of agriculture. And the story of agriculture is the story of hard work, good people, people that are dedicated, people that are resilient, people that recognize ups and downs, people that recognize the value of the marketplace, people that are entrepreneurial, people that are innovative, people that are risk takers, people that are willing to put it all on the line. That's what agriculture is. And that's what farmers are. I can't think of a better job in state government. With all due respect to the governor, who you'll meet in a few minutes, and you'll see in a few minutes, and all the state policymakers here in the state capitol, who do a tremendous job, it is a phenomenal opportunity to stand here as representing the farm men and women, the Department of Agriculture, Trade, and Consumer Protection. But we're more than just agriculture at DATCP. Quite frankly, all 5.7 million people that live and work in this state, I would argue, are positively impacted by the work that's done at DATCP. So let me just take a minute and share with you what that work is. Not only is it the work that we do with the seed that's planted in the ground, or our cheese plant inspectors, or our milk house inspectors, or our meat processing inspectors, but it's also what we do with food safety. If you go to the deli, you purchase some ham salad or potato salad or macaroni salad, DATCP will have worked with that health department to make sure that those are sanitary conditions and that you're getting a quality product. When you came into town, you more than likely filled your car up with gas. If you paid for 10 gallons of gas, you should have been dispensed 10 gallons of gas. That's the weights and measures that we have at the Department of Agriculture, Trade, and Consumer Protection. And if you received a phone call from one of those individuals that continue to call, even though you're on the do not call list, I know we got work to do because we have consumer protection at DATCP. So let's talk a little bit about what's going on out on the farm. I believe it was in the spring of 1993, front page article in the Milwaukee Journal at the time said that California surpasses Wisconsin in milk production. We're no longer America's dairy land. I don't know about you, but that was a punch to my gut. We're always America's dairy land, but yet California surpassed us in total volume. Now we maybe took a day or two at the moment, but you know what we did after that? We looked in the mirror and we recognized that we have all the assets, everything we need to succeed in this state. We just need to reinvest. And we did, on the farm, but also within our processing facilities. Let's look back at where we are now, 25 years later. Well, we're number 2 in the country when it comes to total milk production. We're right there, leading the nation, as we should be, when it comes to cheese production. But not only are we leading the country in cheese production, we're also light years ahead when it comes to artisan cheeses and specialty cheeses. 25 years ago, we had a conversation. What size structure should we have in this state? Should we be more like the Northeast, or should we be more like the West? What should our production capabilities be like? We're still having that conversation. What we're seeing is that we're not the Northeast, and we're not the far West. We're Wisconsin. And our landscape provides us an opportunity for us to put our structure in place. A structure, quite frankly, that's size neutral. A structure, quite frankly, that recognizes the tremendous assets that we have, the natural assets we have, the water that we have, the soil qualities that we have, those cheese processing plants that I talked about, the workforce that we have. But you know what also we have? Again, we have that entrepreneurism, that innovation, that creativity, that resilience, that hard work. We're ready to take the next step. The financial community's been there throughout the time they've been there. That's another unique aspect that we have here in the state of Wisconsin. Our ag lenders have been there for us. So, because of the fact that we've got agriculture in almost all 72 counties of this state, our lenders recognize if they're going to participate in their communities, they need to be part of agriculture, part of dairy. Been there, and I thank them for that. And we all know it hasn't been easy the last 4 years. You know that, and I know that. You know that probably a lot better than I do that. Know that because every 2 weeks you get a check. And you're trying to figure out, where do we go? What's next? I need some guidance, you say. Provide me some certainty, you say. I wish I could. You know as well as I know that there's no certainty when it comes to the marketplace. You know as well as I know how important consumer preferences are, what consumers are seeking in the marketplace. You know a lot better than I know as far as what's around the corner. But I know this. I know in January of 2019, on a statewide average, Wisconsin had a butter fat of over 4.0. Statewide. Whole milk is 3.25. Coming out of our farms, out of our barns, out of our dairy cattle right now is unbelievable quality of milk. Unbelievable. I would argue that we haven't seen this level or experienced this level of quality milk ever. It is absolutely amazing. The dairy men and women in the state have stepped up. time and time again. We're ready. We're prepared. But where do we go? Where are we going? Well, I know this. There's a greater demand for protein in the world than ever before. Asia, China, and India, they want protein in their diet. I also know this. The fact is that pharmaceutical industry is seeking more and more dairy products. Obviously, we recognize the confectionery, what can happen with the confectionery goods. We spend a lot of time talking about fluid milk consumption. But I know that dairy plays an important role in the overall nutritional impact of the consumer. I know that. And I also know that the Wisconsin brand, just stop and pause a second. What is that Wisconsin brand? We just talked a little bit about it. It's that farmer. It's that hard work, resilience, dedication, optimism, entrepreneurialism. It's also our natural assets. It's our water. It's our forage. It's our landscape. What else is the Wisconsin brand? The Wisconsin brand is quality. That's what it is. Again, go back to January. Over a 4 on a butter. Think of that. Think of what that means. So what can we do here in the state capitol? What can be done? The first thing I want to say is this. Is that you're the leaders. Dairy farmers. The ideas don't come from here or from me. They come from out there, the dairy industry. I have said over and over again to anybody that will listen, I was taught early on from my mother, I was given 2 of these and 1 of these for a reason. And as DATCP Secretary, I will listen twice as much as I will speak. And I'm traveling this state, I'm listening, I'm learning. And I know this. I know the following. People in this state support agriculture. People in this state are proud of our dairy industry. People in this state want our dairy industry to succeed. People in this state want you to succeed. In turn, I ask for you to consider the following. Please recognize that what you do on your farm has an impact, not just to you and to your family and to your bottom line, but also to our community. Please recognize the fact that we here in Wisconsin are proud not only of our dairy and our agriculture, but animal agriculture. Animal agriculture is so important to this state. Please recognize the fact that our landscape here is different in Kansas or South Dakota or any of those Great Plains states. They have animal agriculture as well. They have pockets. We have it around our state. We're proud of our rural communities. We need our rural communities, and dairy plays an important role in our rural communities. Recognize the fact that if we're going to continue to have the public perception that we have in this state, we need to be part of our communities. And I know you are, and you'll do more. We can't just have vast stretches of this state like they have in the Great Plains, in which you could drive miles upon miles and have no rural community. That's not Wisconsin. Remember when we first began here, we talked about 25 years ago this state was having a discussion. Are we going to go in the direction of the Northeast, or are we going to go in the direction of the West? And we've created the Wisconsin model. And that is a Wisconsin model, obviously, that recognizes animal agriculture, it recognizes dairy, it recognizes agriculture overall. It tells a story of more than just bushels, bales, and hundredweights. It has a connection with our communities. It has a connection with our consumers. It has a Wisconsin brand. And that Wisconsin brand is a brand that is known nationally and internationally. So I have brought some handouts with me. It's about the governor's budget. I'd like to share a few things with you on that. But I want to talk with you about some specific items that I think can be very helpful for you. Number one, I'm all about markets. And I don't care if those markets are local, regional, statewide, national, or international. I want to be able to market your products to consumers around the world. Wherever he or she may be, I want to be able to market those products. So within the governor's budget, there's a number of different marketing initiatives. There's an international marketing initiative, and then there's some local marketing initiatives. I'll give you the specifics on that, but to make a long story short, on the international marketing perspective, we have hosted in the past something called a reverse buyers mission. That is foreign buyers that come into this state, meet with producers and meet with dairy processors to learn more about our products. We want to double up on that. We want to do more, because that only makes sense. We also obviously recognize the fact that we need to make sure that people within our schools, school kids, have an opportunity to enjoy Wisconsin products, dairy products. So there's a farm to school initiative in there I ask you to take a good look at. Your support we would greatly appreciate. Buy local, buy Wisconsin. That's an initiative that I think all of us can recognize how important that is that, you know what, when people go to the store, why don't they look for Wisconsin? Why not? Because they know what they're going to get, the product that they buy. They buy local, buy Wisconsin. Those are some initiatives on the marketing. We also have some initiatives in the governor's budget that he has proposed in regards to water. Now, we all need water. Every single one of us depend upon water. And quite frankly, I want to say this. When you go to your tap, you deserve clean drinking water. We all deserve that. And I honestly believe that we're all doing our very best in order to do that. So what do we have within the governor's budget? We got a couple things in particular that I ask for your assistance on. Number one, we've got a farmer-led watershed grants. Governor is moving forward on this, investing even further than what was done previously. We have close to 20 farmer-led watershed projects around the state, and the governor is investing more and more in those. I know, and you're from around the state, but we have these watersheds in watershed initiatives in Dorothy-Kiwanee County, as well as in southwestern Wisconsin and central Wisconsin, northwest Wisconsin, throughout the state. If you're not part of that, I encourage you to learn more about those watershed initiatives. The governor is investing in that. The governor is also investing in locally led conservation efforts. Unlike other states, particularly states in the Great Plains who have conservation districts, we have conservation applied at the local level here in this state. Our forefathers in the state government established local land and water conservation departments within every county, and that's what we've got. So the governor is, in the budget, has proposed fully funding at least one position within each county for land and water conservation departments, and then providing up to 70% funding for that second position. This is a $3 million investment that, this is an investment that is something that people have come forward from the local level and have asked for and sought. Additional bonding in order to assist producers like yourself, farmers like yourself, in order to apply on the ground projects, water improvement projects. That may be barnyard projects, that may be grass waterways, whatever it may be. There's bonding authority for that as well. There's much more, which is in the governor's budget. I ask you to take a good look at that. I ask you to recognize the fact that it is an investment. It is an investment in making sure that we move this state forward. Because again, I'd be happy to take any questions, but I just want to say this as I wrap up the remarks that I have given, and that is, thank you. Thank you for your work. Thank you for what you do. I know that it has been challenging. I know that people don't always recognize or appreciate what you do, but I want you to know that I do. And I greatly appreciate your work and your dedication and the investment that you've made. And I will say this, when you get in a position like this, first thing to do is always hire well. And I am glad that I had someone who's come and joined me in this effort. Her name is Angela James. She's the Assistant Deputy Secretary at DATCP. She's someone that has a broad background in water policy and water law. She has practiced law and helped me a great deal as I continue to move forward at DATCP. So are there any questions for me? Because I'm starting to hear that there's some pretty important people out in the hallway, and I want to make sure that they get the opportunity to come in and say hello as well. Anything? If not, I have a hand. Sure.
I will surely ask.
Good. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Two-part.
Yes.
Two-part question. Thank you for your discussion on defending agriculture, and I look forward to our government officials in defending us and not necessarily throwing us under the bus when there are some challenges. So we will be sure to hold you to account on that.
I would hope so.
On that statement. Previous to your taking over the position that you have, there was some significant work done either under Governor Walker and DATCP to move permitting from the DNR over to DATCP. And the reason that I think we as a dairy industry would look forward to that is because we want solution-based programs rather than compliance-based programs, and that's where the technology and the professional people are, and we would look forward to that opportunity to make that happen. Is that something that's on your table or something that you'll be working with? And maybe you can speak to that for a moment.
Well, that's a very good question. I think most of you are familiar with that. I could say the following on that. One of the first things that I'm seeking to do is to make sure that my colleagues at the Department of Natural Resources recognize what's happening within production agriculture, particularly within dairy. I think that is that's number one. They need to be able to recognize fully what's happening on the farm. So, I'm proud to say that Secretary Cole and the senior team, they recognize that. They've been very receptive to our comments and our suggestions and the outreach that we have done within DATCP. So that's the first thing that's happening. And the second thing that is happening is we have at DATCP have a very good working relationship, partnering obviously with production agriculture. And we want to continue to build upon our partnership with production agriculture, be able to provide what type of assistance, technical assistance that we may have. The third thing I will say is this, is that we will carry out the law. So if the policymakers make decisions that they seek to, switch roles as far as who has the authorities, obviously we at DATCP will follow the law. But at this given time, I can just tell you that A, we'll follow the law, B, that we're going to make sure to build upon the technical assistance that we currently provide production agriculture. And the third thing is that I want to make sure that my colleagues at the DNR fully recognize and understand the changing dynamics that are happening at DATCP. So within agriculture. So I didn't specifically answer your question. I did my best.
You did a nice job of getting
So hold me accountable on that. Angela, what did I miss?
I'm not touching that.
I understand.
That's
very good. Thank you, Angela. Thanks for that question, though. Anything else here before?
Is DATCP looking at maybe these townships instead of the townships? If you have a township run by people that are against you, is DATCP looking at maybe being able to have some control over them, so they don't just, if they don't like a farm, they try to push it right out?
Well, that's a very good question in regards to that. A couple things there. Number one, obviously, I want to be able to tell the story of agriculture. So if that is local units of government, I will help tell that story of production agriculture. I want to be able to do that. Number two, I want to be able to use this office not just to speak to local government officials, town government officials that may or may not have a positive impression of what's going on in the farm, but also to the general population. I need to be able to do that. We need to be able to do that. We have to speak to more than just ourselves. We have to speak to the larger audience, and I'm willing to do that. The third thing is that there is something that we have in the state called livestock sighting. So I know that is something that this organization has had a history of conversations on, and what happens going forward with that is, you know, that is a conversation that will take place. But that's what I can share on that, is that as DATCP Secretary, I will tell the story of agriculture to the general population as well as to local government officials. But at the same time, when I ask you to hold me accountable, only in turn, you know this, you guys are employers, we all have to be held accountable. Bad actors are bad actors, and we need to be able to recognize that and talk about that. Because I think we want the same thing. We want our brand to be positively received by our consumers. So that's how I would answer that question. Is I will tell the story of agriculture to the general population, to local specific town organizations, and then also what we currently have on the books. And that is obviously the wonderful.